In this video, I will be talking about the most famous story of Sharon Rectory, which is of Lady Sara Waller, also known in spirit as the Blue Lady. Lady Waller met her demise here in Sharon Rectory, which she once called home. This tragic incident took place on the 2nd of March 1797, which no doubt left its imprint within the walls. In this episode, I will be talking about how her story unfolded after her death. Here in the heart of the house is the reception hallway, where many a tragic events occurred through its centuries. On that fateful night, on the 2nd of March, the United Irishmen took siege outside the rectory, demanding to hand over Hamilton. As they shot blindly in the adjoining room, Lady Waller was shot in the ear and then in the shoulder. She crawled to this reception hallway, where she was dragged down to the servants' quarters and later passed away. When my parents bought the house in 1995, it was complete ruins, but they fell in love with the property and saw it had potential. I remember the first time I saw Sharon. It looked old, broken, overgrown with grass, weeds and ivy. It was like something straight out of a horror movie. But my parents worked hard on the renovations and the house started to look more like a home. My feelings surrounding the house didn't change. I would picture this white face looking in the above window above my bedroom door. I couldn't help but feel a presence. It wasn't long before the presence became apparent. I began to hear footsteps come up the staircase at night, slowly creeping towards the landing. Soon she made her presence known.
Found a way, but you never go away. So I guess I gotta stay now. Oh, I hope someday I'll make it out of here, even if it takes all night.
Her visits became a nightly occurrence. The first night she appeared to my dad, he woke with 3 knocks on the window. He jumps up with a fright, but after checking that no one was there, he gets back into bed. He turns over and sees a blue lady standing next to him. We would often hear the piano play a soft melody when no one was there. She would appear at the bottom of my parents' bed in the early hours of the morning and bang on the trunk at the bottom of the bed. I would sleep with the covers over my head because I was scared how she would just appear. One dreaded night, I felt a breeze upon my face. When I opened my eyes, I could see her standing there. I pulled the covers over my head and prayed she would leave. could feel the bed sink beside me like someone had sat down. Then I heard a light humming sound which made my body freeze. Often the doors would bang and furniture would move on its own accord. Shadows would appear out of nowhere. It was all becoming a nightmare. After getting in touch with a psychic medium called Kate Houston, we knew she could help us understand what was going on. As they prepared for a seance to communicate with a spirit and help her, candles were lit and the house was in complete darkness, ready for the night. As I sat in the kitchen with my dad, my mum, uncle and grandmother were in the dining room with Kate. The doors opened in the kitchen as though she walked through to get to the dining room. Kate could feel her presence come into the room. Then each person around the table had their own experience that they would never forget. She appeared above the table in the shape of a teardrop, then disappeared up into the ceiling. In March 2014, a fire broke out here in the rectory at the front of the building. Our hearts were broke as we watched all the renovation work my parents done over the years be destroyed. During the night, one of the firemen approached us, asking if myself and my mum had entered the building at any point during the fire. We looked at each other and said no. He didn't ask any more questions, but later approached us after the fire was extinguished, asking if there was a lady that was in the house at any stage through the night. We looked at each other and said that was her, wasn't it? In shock, the fireman never questioned no more. The lady apparently stood just at this point, looking through into the reception hallway as the fire broke out. The question is, was it Mrs. Waller that was here that night?
I've been sleepless at night, 'cause I don't know how I feel.